Man, the amount of stuff you guys have your hands into, I wouldn't be surprised next year if we came here and say, we're getting into golf balls. We're going to be the greatest fucking golf ball ever made.
Are you a big game hunter? Taking over the broadcast is Jake Mushaney, and by his side is Ryan Avery. Viewers are calling the Shoot to Hunt podcast the next hot tamale. Mind you, this show does not permit young ears. You'll be wanting a bar of soap in your mouth by the end of the show. Enjoy the broadcast and keep those little ears covered.
All right, we're at the 2025 SHOT Show. We're in the ADG booth, and we have the gentlemen back on. There's 5 of them, or 4 of them. I don't know where I'll get them all on the podcast, but we're going to give it a shot. You guys have a beautiful booth.
I'm about to say, I feel like the fucking king of the show up here.
You do. You got.
I need a crown and one of them things in my hand. I'm sitting on the chair. Like, you just feel like you're the king of this shit up here.
So you're saying we should have moved the throne up here?
Yeah, the throne should be up here.
Oh, it's a beautiful booth.
Yeah.
I dare say maybe one of the best booths at the SHOT Show.
Yeah. He just said, Marlon was telling us he had this custom built and all packages up into 2 crates.
No way.
Yep, packages into 2 crates.
Does a company build it for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Company built it and designed it for us to our specifications, and then now it packs into 2 crates and it goes wherever we want it to go.
Nice. We're up on a mezzanine above their main booth, so we're like on level 2.
Like the Grand Poobahs.
Yes.
I do want to also bring up these snazzy-ass vests y'all wearing.
Yeah, looking good. Looking good.
Fucking pimp status.
Oh, that's right. Eddie Bauer Outlet, $25.
There we go.
Where's your vest? I'm not either.
So that's somebody that can't commit to sleeves.
No, this makes it easy for concealed carry, see?
There you go.
That's right.
I've been, you guys look the part. So I guess you guys have had a lot of people come by.
Yeah, a lot of interest in some of the new products that we released. We talked about before.
There's one out there. Did we talk about the annealer before?
I think we just mentioned it because we didn't have one.
We casually mentioned it.
Do you guys want to open up more about the annealer?
Yeah, be happy to. So it's the ARC Ultimate Annealer. We're importing it from South Africa. We're doing some of the development directly with the guys who develop the software and the boards and the control boards and everything for it. We'll probably be assembling it in the U.S. So we'll be getting electronics from South Africa, assembling everything in the U.S. It comes with a feeder assembly. It's really programmable. The big difference it has from the competitive units is that it actually has a 5-sensor thermal array on the front, and you're watching the whole front of the case, and you're picking the location you want, and it's annealing to temperature. And what that does for you is if you have case wall variations, like neck thickness variations, if you go to like the competitor products, they use a code. It applies a current profile through the part. Right. So if you have varying neck walls, you're going to get different results. So if you have a thin neck wall, it's going to get hotter. If you have a thick neck wall, it's going to get not as hot with that profile.
It's based on one piece of brass analysis.
Right.
One that you melt.
Where this is live analyzing every piece of brass for that brass's temperature.
Yeah, and so it's looking at each one individually, and it's looking for that temperature. So it applies the profile, the heat profile, and when it hits the temperature, it turns itself off. And it goes to the next piece. It's got an auto feed function, so if you don't use the feeder that will be included with it, you can just drop pieces in. It'll anneal as fast as you can drop them in. And if you use the feeder assembly, which will come with it, it'll hold about 55 or 56 pieces of brass in the feeder. It'll auto feed and auto process all of those.
When will it be at people's houses? How long is that out?
The plan is to start shipping units end of March or beginning of April.
Oh, wow.
One of the coolest features already when you walk up and look at it is the coil is on the front of the machine, so it has a pass-through. Whereas the competitor's machine, it's a blind hole. So you have to put said brass into the top and then remove said brass each time. That doesn't go down. It only goes in the top and out the top.
Yeah.
So this one, as it's passing the brass through it, it's automatically dropping the brass into the tray when it's done annealing, ready for the next one to be put in.
Correct. Yeah, you just literally just drop it in, it anneals, and it falls out.
Yeah.
Oh.
And like you said, it's annealing as fast. I mean, it was about 1 second.
Yeah, I think the anneal time was about 1 second. The total, because it goes through a stage. So first thing it does when you drop a shell in and anneal it it'll heat the shell up to about 200 degrees Celsius. And what that does is it just gets everything to a uniform starting temperature. Because IR sensors, when you're looking at thermal sensors, they're sensitive to lighting and stuff like that that's around. So when you get to 200 degrees, now you're no longer sensitive to the ambient light or anything. So that's the starting point, and then it goes to the anneal temperature. And then when it's done, it drops it out. So the whole cycle is maybe about 4 or 5 seconds from the time you drop it until it falls out the bottom.
Price point?
$18.75.
And then like with the amp, because I had ordered an amp and like
The competitor.
Oh,
The competitor.
well, let's
Just fucking say
we
it.
all fucking know what we're talking. We all know what we're talking about here, and they're gonna keep selling theirs, and you guys will keep selling yours.
Yeah.
But like the problem with the competitor is that the supply chain sucked and still somewhat isn't great. Are you guys going to be able to keep up with demand?
Yeah, so part of that is us assembling it in the U.S. So the plan is essentially get the first units out. We know that that's going to be a bit of a challenge maybe at first because we're working out who's assembling what and how we get that there.
Nice.
But the end of the day, it's essentially we're going to ship as small a package as we can from South Africa. So it's going to come pretty much like the idea will be electronic boards and some miscellaneous pieces. And then we'll be doing full assembly and test and put together here in the U.S. And that'll allow us to ship. So that way, if you have a pallet with a fully packaged unit, you could put, 30 on a pallet. But when we shrink it down to electronics, I'll be able to get a shipment of like 150 at a time on a pallet. And then we're going to be assembling and sourcing a lot of the components and manufacturing a lot of the components, like little guides and things like that we'll manufacture ourselves.
And you don't do pre-orders, so how do they get on the list?
So, well, right now, we call, as I refer to sometimes as normal people, which are non-dealers, right? So normal people, they can go to our website now. The product's already on there and they can sign up for the wait list. And so what we will do different than this. So in the past, like on our brass, you'd have the wait list and we'll end up like 1,000 people on the wait list, right? On the annealer, we're hoping that serious people get on the wait list. So if I have, let's say, a wait list of 70 people, when we actually put it up for sale, I'm going to make sure that I have enough units to fill the entire wait list quantity is our plan on that. Of course, in March and April, we'll probably ship out first to dealers. Okay. So it probably won't be on our website in March and April. It'll probably be a little bit later than that. So the first units will go to our dealers. And they can sell them because they're going to use them. They're going to sell some of them, but a lot of the dealers are going to use them directly. And we want to get a lot of feedback from these first units. So if there are any issues, we don't anticipate any issues. But if there are any issues, that we can address those first with the guys we know before everybody gets it.
On that note, you guys love your dealers and you like them big and small. Boutique dealers, there's no limit that a dealer can buy from you. Can they buy 1? Can they buy 10?
Oh yeah, they can buy 1. They can buy 10. We love our dealers.
Or 100.
Or 100.
Or
sell 100.
Or 100.
Greg stepping it up.
Jake said he's in for 100, no problem.
There we go.
They'll sell as many as they want. Start with one.
Starting with 1. So the question that I got, I don't know if you had a question in there, coming to hogging it.
No, I think I got a nice demonstration from Marlon on the annealer. We talked a little bit about, human incompetence and things like that. So that, I think it's going to be a game changer for ease of use for like the PRS guys. I think it's worth listening to them because that's kind of a walk away system almost. If you had so I've had the amp and we've had which they name it something. It's their system you buy separately to drop the cases in. The problem is that it took so much tuning when you changed from one cartridge to another. That system seems like it's going to be very easy to change over from one cartridge to another. It comes with everything that you need. And the idea that it's a pass-through, it reduces the complexity of the machine in its entirety. So you don't have this finger that's putting a brass in and then taking it back out. It's just passing right through the machine. And I think overall it's going to save a lot of time for a lot of guys.
Yeah, actually the changeover, caliber changeover for because it has memory settings, so it'll have 1,000 memory settings. So once you're set up, and it'll come preset with all of our brass in it. So we'll have our brass settings. So to get I'll call it a factory anneal or close to factory anneal condition. We'll have those already preloaded in the machine, most likely. So, but if you have same case body diameter stuff, so like we're demoing here with a 28 Nosler and 7 SAUM, the changeover between calibers is literally 3 button pushes. So you just go out to the main menu, You go to your memory setting. You pull up your memory for your other caliber. You go back to your normal anneal, and you're going.
It's awesome. It even has fucking how-to tutorial videos built into the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the shit I need.
Shows a little cartoon guy, looks just like you. And he's
That's the shit I need.
telling you which fucking buttons to push.
I've fucked up so many with the competitor. I have so many pieces of brass.
Yeah, same.
It almost lit my house on fire.
There you go.
Yeah, part of that is like, so I'm a batch guy, so I'll go do something, and so I get into it. You do it for, let's say you do 500 pieces of all your brass, you're ready to go. Then you're going to go shoot, and you don't come back to it for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're like, how the hell do I even turn this damn thing on? And you get into that.
Oh, yeah.
So the tutorials are right there, so you can go right in there to how to everything.
Well, that makes another question, because really ADG, when I started getting in and you guys are getting more popular, pretty much unknown, reloaded all my brass and done all the annealing. So if they had a case from 2 years ago, 6.5 Psalm, and they bought cases today, is that the same number?
Well,
that's the thing about the machine. It doesn't use numbers that way. It looks at every piece of brass individually.
No shit.
And it brings that brass up. It has 5 temperature sensors across like the neck, shoulder area.
Oh.
And it looks for that temperature to hit the right temperature. So it doesn't matter if it's a little bit thinner, a little bit thicker, a little bit different brass alloy. It doesn't matter. It's each piece individually.
Then you got, like I said, I'm ignorant to that. Why are you killing a case then when you first get it?
Well, we don't.
We're not.
Our competitor.
Oh, you're not. You're not. So that's what you're saying. That was what's confusing me.
I'm sorry.
I was thinking, how are we killing a case?
It's so funny too. You don't realize how many people reach out to us for an amp code because they don't want to burn one piece of brass.
Dude,
many people.
You fucking go through the whole process of making a 6UM. That fucking
Yeah.
When I almost went to jail if they'd have done in Africa what they did to Jake, throwing away all his brass to my 6UM brass.
Yeah.
Teddy had to bail me out because I had lost it because I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
And they do most of it. I hate it for them.
Yes.
So,
So no burning a piece. There's no sacrificial brass piece
makes
anymore.
my heart feel better.
No, and we will have the setup code, all the setup stuff. So you're going to set the height and the temperature and what sensor you're looking at. We'll have all that setup information on our web pages, on the product pages. We're going to put all that on there for each caliber.
Fantastic. One more time, what was the price?
$18.75.
$18.75. Right.
Yeah,
yes,
feeder
the
included.
Feeders included with all the options and shit too. So it's a whole package, which is awesome. I think the competitor is way up overpriced when they buy both of them. I don't remember how much they call their case feed or something. I don't remember what it is.
Oh.
Anyways, so that kind of so that's to me, I consider that a reloading tool. So you have another reloading tool that you have there out the show there, and
well, actually, there's even more to that. So we've actually started to look at a system approach. So one of the things we don't have at the show is we're also releasing I'm going to call it an optimum chamber design for our brass, which allows the correct amount of expansion and contraction of the brass case for the chamber. So it's still a Sammy chamber, but we tighten that up in Sammy so that you allow that brass to expand the proper amount and contract within the chamber. So we released those through JGS to the public, or the ADG chamber reamers. We'll probably stock a couple, but there's not a lot of margin in those. And stocking those, you got to tie a bunch of money up in. So we'll probably have a couple of each caliber for people who need one in an emergency, and probably put about a $100 or $150 premium on them. Because their pricing is there's not a lot of margin when you buy from them between that and what you can actually buy it on.
What
the
are you
website.
saying? These drawings are going to be public, so somebody else can go there and get them?
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll have the drawings on the website for that particular chamber. You can buy them directly from JGS, those reamers, and then of course you'd use our brass. And then the other part of the system approach is our dies. So our resizing die, which is a bushinged resizing die. It's also designed to resize our brass as well as everybody else's, but all the way down to the base. It's a 1 1/4 by 12 thread, so it's a much beefier and bigger die. And one of the complaints that we'll get, or one of the comments rather, it's not really a complaint, is that the case head is so strong in our brass that when you use normal 7/8 inch dies, it doesn't always do a good job of resizing the base of the case.
And the bigger the shell diameter that you're starting with, the worse the problem is.
Yeah. Yeah,
And just to say real quick, that 1 1/4, that's not a new thread pattern. That's just the larger dies that people are used to. Any number of presses have a bushing installed for the 7/8. You just take that bushing out, and this die will screw in there.
Yeah, we have a not exhaustive list, but we have a pretty good list. We have a PDF page, so on our website you can go to that product, the dies. There'll be a link to a PDF. It's got a list, and I think on the product page it has a list of the dies the presses that we know it's compatible with.
Yeah, RCBS, Rock Chucker, Supreme, and the Rebel.
Oh yeah,
a Lee.
Yep.
I think Frankfurt Arsenal,
Reading Big Boss.
The F1, the Reading, or is it the Ultramag?
Both of them.
One of the Readings,
both of
or
them.
maybe both. Yeah.
Enhance your shooting experience with Stocky stocks. Are you tired of struggling with mediocre rifle stocks that hinder your performance? Imagine having a high-quality rifle stock that not only enhances your accuracy, but also provides superior strength in a lightweight build. Stocky Stocks offers a wide range of premium rifle stocks manufactured with hand layup carbon fiber construction, a patented carbon fiber AccuBlock, and multiple finish options. Whether you're a long-range shooter or a hunting enthusiast, our stocks are perfect for you. Experience unmatched precision and durability with Stocky Stocks. We provide stock installation instructions, technical support, and guidance to help you choose the right stock for your rifle. Upgrade your shooting game today with Stocky Stocks.
That was probably the biggest feedback I got from all the podcasts we did when we were down with you guys is, well, I've been doing this, my dad's been doing this, my grandpa, we've been using 7/8 our whole lives. And now you're saying there's a problem and I got to change my system.
Yeah.
And you're saying because there is some stretch.
Yeah. In a typical 7/8 die, you got your Creedmoor, your 308 family. You look at the difference between that 7/8 OD and the OD of the shell, and you end up with a decent wall thickness in your die. So when you push that hard brass up in there, the die is strong enough that it doesn't expand out. It forces the brass smaller, which is what you want your resizing die to do. But keeping that same outside diameter at 7/8, when you put in a 338 Lapua in your 7/8 die, that wall thickness all of a sudden is very, very thin.
Mm-hmm.
And you put in a hard piece of brass in there, and instead of the die squishing the brass down to size because of the thin wall, it actually expands out because of the load that the brass is putting on the die and the fact that the wall is so thin.
Yep. It's the same reason like a 338 Lapua is better on an action that has 1 1/8 tenon threads instead of 1 1/16 and so on.
Yeah,
There's more meat around
you
it.
just end up with the meat around it. That's right.
Yeah. The other thing is those dies will come with 3 bushings since they're neck sizing with the bushing. They'll come with our nominal bushing, and there'll be a +1 thou and a -1 thou bushing as well. So you can adjust your neck tension out of the box.
At least get you started.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we'll have those available too on our website to buy if you want something different than that.
All the different sizes, whatever.
It's always a question, when can you buy them and how much they cost?
$460 for the set, comes with the 3 bushings. They'll be available within a month. We'll have 5 available. We'll have 300 PRC, 7 PRC, 6.5 PRC, 7 SOM, 28 Nosler. And the next 5 will come maybe a month or 2 out. And then by the end of the year, we'll have all our calibers. Everything will have it. 6UM will be out when you guys are shipping 6UM. So we'll have a 6UM 30 and a 6UM 40.
Yep. I did order the extra JGS reamers for all that too. Get you guys.
So we will have both those will be out at the same time you guys get your brass.
Awesome.
They look good too. They do.
Yes.
Black and orange.
Yeah. I like that. Like, I'm not an orange guy, but I like that, like, Bert. I don't know what you guys had a bunch of terracotta, whatever the fuck this, but it's like that burnt orange. I like it.
Uh-huh. Do you guys have more plans in the reloading realm? I mean, there's other shit. There's sizing knives and there's presses and there's, a number of other tools.
Yeah, I think we're going to be walking down the systematic approach. So, we'll be looking and investigating the other opportunities for other like seating dies and other opportunities for the whole approach of reloading and trying to get to a whole systematic approach.
Maybe like a universal seating die?
Maybe.
Huh.
That's Greg.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, there's a couple of universal seating dies out there already that are pretty good. I was an early adopter of the RCBS competition seating die 25 years ago. Heck, I can't tell. All the cartridges that I developed, I loaded with that at Remington. So, all you had to do is different bushing, different stem, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty nice,
Mm-hmm.
pretty nice setup. They've changed the design since then some, but getting something that had increases its precision is probably a good way to go. A sleeve that moves with the brass, holds everything in tighter tolerance and position.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would definitely always be the optimal situation, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think one of the other questions we got on our dies is expander mandrel. It doesn't have one now, but we'll probably come up with our own that'll you'll just replace the decapping pin and replace it with a decapping and expander mandrel.
Yes.
But that'll be coming later.
Later.
It's not now. It's just not ready yet.
It'll be an add-on that you can buy.
We're always teaching to expand on a separate step anyway with what we do. Yeah. We don't keep the expander ball on any of our dies yet.
I saw a bolt down there.
Yes. We have a modular bolt. It's a retrofit for a 700 action. And so it's a direct fit. It's a direct fit into a 700 action. It is not a direct replacement because we use a flat bolt face on it. So essentially what it is a bolt body is a single piece bolt body with the extraction cam built into that.
Mm-hmm.
It has replaceable bolt handles like you would in a replaceable bolt handle system. And then the bolt head itself is replaceable. So it uses a 700 striker assembly. So the firing pin assembly, you just pull it out. Once that's out, you can pull the bolt head out, and we have 2 Magnum faces. They're the same counterbore for the Magnum, just you have a WSM extractor and then a standard extractor.
Oh.
And then you have a standard bolt face and a small bolt face for like 223 or 556. And then so you can change those out and retrofit into a 700. The difference would be is when you're chambering it, it's going to be a flat face barrel, no counterbore on the barrel. And the nice thing about that is, let's say you have a guy with a 700, 30-06 700, right? And he wants to chamber it to 300 PRC. Before you're going to have to figure out how to get a new bolt and do all that kind of stuff. Yep. Now you can just put this baby right in it, chamber it to 300 PRC. Then if that's your hunting rifle and you have your hunting setup on that, you could go the next step, which is maybe run those threads out on the barrel and put a lock ring on it, like a Savage system. Right. And now you can actually have the user pull the barrel, pull his bolt head, switch out to 223 and go practice with his same rifle, the same scope, the same everything. 223, swap the barrel out, swap the bolt head out. You're back to your 300 PRC or 7 PRC or whatever you're shooting.
Remage.
Yes. Remage system.
What's the price of the bolt?
I believe it's $350. For the full bolt, and that would be the bolt head complete. So it comes with the ejector and extractor installed, and a handle assembly. And then we will also sell the bolt heads by themselves. I believe they're $125. They might be $150, but I think they're $125.
So you'd be about $800, and you'd have a training rifle and a hunting rifle that you can swap back and forth instead of having to build a whole new rifle.
Correct.
That's a good deal. That's a great deal.
Yeah, and then and those will be available probably mid-year. So we're finishing up the final kind of testing and put together, and they'll be like fluting patterns and stuff you can do to them and that kind of stuff.
Like from a development standpoint, I always think about products that we've came out with is we guys are sitting around going, we make brass, fuck, we should make a bolt.
Yeah,
like how does that process go down?
It's the Remington experience.
Yeah,
it really comes down to the whole system, right? When you're looking at a whole system, if we believe the world's best quality, highest quality, most precise brass, right? Or most consistent brass. I'd say that's probably a better term, right? The better use of the word. So when it comes down to now, you get into the loading, right? So you start looking at what's out there and what are people doing and how do you get the best use out of the product,
right?
And this is sort of the next step. It's like Remington is long and gone now, and they never did anything. They've gone bankrupt twice, and there's a new one out, and we'll see how they do. Anyway, at the end of the day, there's over a million Remington receivers out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult for any gunsmith to say, if a guy comes in and is like, hey, I got this thing, it's in 284 Win Mag.
Yeah.
I want it to be 223.
Right.
There's no option. Right.
Yeah.
And so now there is an option.
Yeah.
There's a ton of receivers out there. And so now there's
I love companies filling little niche items out there. That's good stuff. But for the guy out there, you can't take that and just throw it into there's variances and all these blueprinted, 700 blueprints out there, like Stiller or whoever. You can't take that bolt and put it in there, correct?
In a Remington 700, you can take that bolt and put it right in a Remington 700.
Right.
But
clones.
But you can't.
Make that crystal clear. You're not just going to slap it into
it's an actual
Vesper.
7. Yeah, it's actual 700 action.
No, it's an actual 700 action.
Yeah.
And you can't use it as you can't just add UCIT into a current 700 bolt because it's got a counterbore on the bolt face.
So you have to change the
You
barrel.
have to change the barrel.
Yep.
You will need a new barrel.
Which most aftermarket actions are flat face too.
Yes.
For the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Most of them are.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What else you got in the hopper? I know you guys got more down there, more on your brains, more coming out.
Oh, we got a lot more on our brains.
Well, I mean,
That's for sure.
you can't sneak nothing out a little early. It's a shot show for hell. I mean, this is the time.
We already are. We already are announcing a product that we're not going to have, we say, till June.
Yeah.
Right? Which
he has
way
a lot
ahead.
more self-control than I do.
Dude, Jake is forever. Well, I'll be sitting on the couch and we'll have this thing in the hopper. It's like a year out. All of a sudden, somebody asked me a question, but I was like, motherfucking Jake. He's out there telling everybody the secrets already.
I'm that guy too, but I got yelled at last time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you get yelled at from our podcast at all for anything too early?
There might have been a few things. Maybe I hinted a little too hard on some
Okay.
things.
Oh, Greg, so it's your time to be, spill some beans, and then you can be in the, the bad boy chair down there.
Well, and we talked about it on our previous podcast, but we do have the new cartridge brass, the Dangerous Game belted magnums, the 416 rim mag, 375 H&H, 338 Win mag, and the 7mm STW.
Oh, that's right.
Those would be new products coming out for us. In addition to that, we already have out the 300 SAUM and the 7 300 PRC. That'll be coming up soon. And again, it's the 300 PRC neck down to 7mm.
Yep.
It's been a fairly popular Wildcat.
You mean 28 Noser?
Yes, sure. 28 Noser. No, I don't mean 28 Noser. 7-300 PRC.
Uh-huh.
Which one? That begs the question. Which one's more snorty?
I don't know.
Which one's more snorty, Greg? Do you know off the top of your head?
The 28 Noser.
Yeah,
Is
it's a little bit more. Not much.
Interesting.
Not much.
Not
I'm on a loop on. I didn't even know that was a thing.
What do you guys, what's on the production line back at the shop right now?
300 Win mag is just starting to roll off the production equipment, and 7 Rim mag is finishing up inspection and shipping.
And what's next?
We have the big 338.
We're circling
Enormous.
back to the Lapuas and normal
nice.
mags.
That's been a while for that, huh?
It has been, maybe 2 years since
They're
that.
running Lapua and Norma, Jess.
Yeah. Then after that, we'll be
Oh,
circling
maybe we're
back
doing
to
6.8 Western first.
6.8
I don't know.
Western, and I don't know, a new one like 6U.
Not like you're talking to
like
production.
that.
Some 6UM bullshit?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
We're still we're on trackish. March, April.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We're on track.
Yep.
We're
They're
not
on
going to let
track.
you guys hang.
They're on track like you're on time, motherfucker.
Well, I hope they're fucking better than mine on time, or we're fucked. But the March, April timeframe,
Yeah, March,
Get
April
about
timeframe.
50-ish thousand.
Yeah,
40.
I believe. I don't know what the. Hey, look, there's the production schedule.
Oh,
2 days.
30,000 pieces.
30,000.
Well, let's hope for a low scrap rate.
Yeah. Sorry, people, we can't sell any.
That's all for Ryan. Oh, we've been,
Shit.
we've
I
been
know,
selling it.
Oh, I know like 2 buyers that want that much.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be just fine.
We appreciate it. We want
Yeah.
it. We'll take whatever we can get.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you taking that journey and trusting that we can show our side of the bargain.
When we get closer to there, because of our process, when we get closer to time and actually start running it, we'll re-up on the numbers to get you guys what you need.
Okay.
Perfect.
I don't know if this was, we want to talk anything about the other side of your booth at all? You guys want to dabble in the suppressor side and what they got going on down there?
Yeah. So our booth, there's 3 actual brands on our booth. There's ADG, obviously, that you guys know, and then there is Centis and RR Weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And so we work very closely in a partnership with a company. 505 AM is actually the name of their 3D printing company.
Uh-huh.
And so they have 2 printers currently online. They got a 3rd one being delivered here at the end of the month, and they got a bunch of single laser ones coming from 3D Systems. So between that, essentially, they've done a lot of 3D printing for automotive stuff, some very exotic cars that I don't know the names of that are like $5 or $10 million cars, and they build like little exhaust systems and things. And with RR Weapons, it's a suppressor company they acquired. And so they're doing 3D printed suppressors. They're also doing contact printing or contract printing, if you will. But they do 3D printed suppressors. And then we're working with also with Centis, and we have the AMR, which is the additive manufactured rifle. which is sort of a G36, HK G36 guts for those who are into HK G36s. But it's a fully 3D printed receiver that is forward and backwards compatible to the G36. And so that printed receiver, the ones you see downstairs in our booth, those are pretty much printed. We do the cross holes, do a little bit of machining on the cross holes. They go in the tumbler and then they're painted after that. So the finish they get on the outside is exactly that. So the four ends are going to be cross compatible with G36, so they can be used in the AMR. They can be used in a G36.
Oh, wow.
It's got a adjustable gas system and barrel assembly. It's cross compatible backwards to the G36, so you could use a adjustable gas system onto your G36, which would help for suppressed fire. It'll take the buttstocks, bolt assemblies, and we also have a fire control module that uses AR fire controls in this particular system, but it also has accommodation to be able to put your G36 bolt release in it, so it's cross-compatible backwards to a G36. So you could put an AR fire control into a G36 in what we believe is the right way, all 3D printed housings.
These are already out in the world?
No, it's in development.
I was going to say, I've never, okay.
They'll be out in the world over the next year.
Like you're talking end of the quarter, into 26.
Yeah, they're Q4 to Q1 2026, where we are in the development. Yeah, one of the key things with Centus and 505 AM is they have kind of a symbiotic relationship with the powder manufacturers and developers, as well as the machine manufacturers. So while they have their own technicians that are great print technicians, they work very closely with the material scientists that are developing the special alloys. So both their suppressors and the AMR have unique alloys for this. So they give very similar to 6061 to actually kind of between 6061 and 7075 performance for the aluminum. And they have a specific Inconel for their suppressors that's lighter than conventional Inconel that most suppressor manufacturers use. That's something like 2.4 times as strong, supposedly.
At 800 degrees.
At 800 degrees. So they're,
Really?
From their particular market that they're going for, that's a tremendous benefit. On the aluminum side of things, most of the DMLS stuff that people have used for the last, 15 years or so in powdered printing has been kind of an aluminum with it's like A10 is what they call it. So it's aluminum, manganese, silicon, and like 10% of some chemistry in there. Marlon knows he's a metallurgist.
I don't know off the top of my head.
But it's aluminum-like, to a certain degree. And this is performing like this is performing as aluminum performs. And so it's really kind of cool, like Marlon said, to see it come off. We drill the location holes, deck off a couple of, rough surfaces from the print plate and essentially polish, tumble, and rock on. It's been an interesting relationship with them because, you guys know us as a brass manufacturer. Our business is multifaceted too. I don't know how much he's talked about that in the previous podcast, but up until this point, we did a lot of consulting for the industry. So there's a lot of guns that we've developed across the show today that have our fingerprint on it one way or another. And so that's how we met our partners down here right now is we agreed to help them about 3 or 4 years ago or so, started a relationship with them and, kind of co-branded and developed this program along the way. So kind of this is where we are. They wanted to showcase the technology and showcase their ability to, as an OEM supplier as well.
Man, the amount of stuff you guys have your hands into, I wouldn't be surprised next year if we came here and say, we're getting into golf balls. We're going to be the greatest fucking golf ball ever made.
Be the best at it.
That's right.
That's right. Anything else new we missed before we move on to the big elephant that we have in the room?
Did you know there's a precise number of dimples on a golf ball?
And they're not all the same size.
I did
and
not.
they're not all the same size.
I did not.
Well, we're fucking talking golf balls, baby. Bring it up.
I have no idea how many dimples are on a golf ball.
I don't know what the number is, but I know there's a precise number.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very intentional for golf ball flight.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know how many times I've been golfing? 0.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I hunt shit.
Never
I've hit
mini golf.
Yes. You know what we used to do? We had a driving range by our house. I'd go down there with a bat, and I'd have pitch and throw them up and see how far I could hit them with the bat.
Yeah.
Never actually hit one with a golf ball or a golf club.
I always thought a golf course was an unrealized rifle range.
It is, and it's also taking away valuable habitat.
What the fuck are they doing down there? You guys are having
Dude,
to
it
deal
sounds
with?
like they got a washing machine with a fucking bowling ball in it.
Yeah.
Over there, occasionally sounds like they're. My filter came on. Sorry.
They got a
Filter fall off.
they got a midget in a washing machine.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, it must be a little midget.
So what is this elephant you're talking about?
We all know it's a 7 backcountry.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring something else up.
No crazy stuff.
Well, it's very nice of ADG to participate in our bullshit.
Yeah. Our number one podcast by far was we had some questions about the 7 backcountry 2 weeks ago and kind of exploded because you have all these influencers and they're out there. There's, I think I counted 31 influencers came out and speculated how awesome it was. And there was only a handful of us, really 3, that said, well, wait a minute. What about this, and this? And
No.
we were kind of the pariahs. So we're pulling in the experts.
Yeah, well, I would say so. So a lot of guys made comments about what the fuck do you guys know? You haven't even shot it yet. It's like I don't think you need to shoot it to understand what's about to happen. But so on top of that, so we have a brass casing manufacturer who also has, multi-decades of industry experience with Remington, who also filed a patent in 1973 for steel casings. Were you working back there?
No.
You working there then, Jake?
In 1973, I was 5 years old.
Oh shit!
Me and Moses.
You and Moses, but you had a reloading press out in the garage, I bet.
Hell yeah. But again, I mean, you guys were a part of Remington though during the development process. I mean, the patent just kind of starts and then it goes on from there. But I know you guys made some mention of this and that. We'll see what you guys can and can't talk about. But just generally, what do you guys think about it? What were your initial thoughts as a brass casing manufacturer? Is there any merit to a steel casing? Is that where the industry is heading? Is this just a big crock of shit? Or are me and Ryan just full of shit?
Yeah, that's
that's to be determined.
To be determined.
Nice.
No, a little background, being the old guy, in the early 70s, there was a copper shortage. You had a bunch of houses that were built with aluminum wiring, for example, for a year or two there, 1972, 1973 timeframe. And that's what prompted the Remington to look into the steel cases in the most recent time. Of course, they looked at it in World War II for reasons, same thing, copper shortages. And when you're using it for the war effort and having alternate materials and being able to use recycled this and recycled that. Steel case ammunition is not new by any stretch. They've been around for a while. The Europeans probably do a lot more consumer production of that than anybody in the U.S. ever has. And of course, now Federal with the backcountry is trying to make inroads in the U.S. with the steel cases. There's I don't know if there's good advantages to it or not. It is typically on paper theoretically stronger than brass. It's really hard in small arms to beat 260 cartridge brass as it functions for a shell and a lead core bullet as it functions as a projectile. I mean, it's really tough to replace those materials.
At least with enough advantage to make it worth it, right?
Correct. They looked at the steel cases back in the day because of copper shortages and, necessity drives invention kind of thing. You do end up having, with it being steel, it's different than brass. You're going to have concerns about, is it reloadable? How can you reload it? Can I use my current reloading dies to do it? Does the case head expand like brass does? Can it handle higher pressures? Are the walls thinner or the walls thicker? Is the shell capacity greater or less than the brass case would be?
Can my weapon handle the higher pressure?
Can your weapon, if it is higher pressure, can your weapon handle the higher pressure? I believe they introduced it, they're claiming that they're operating in the 80,000 PSI range. Just for everybody to understand, most brass cartridges, most cartridges that are in Sammy at present, and we had conversation about what Sammy is before. Hopefully, I assume everybody understands. The highest pressure of all your magnums in Sammy is 65,000 psi, and Sammy has specifications that says, okay, if your max operating pressure is 65,000 psi, then your proof pressure is 35% higher than that. Right. So typically your proof pressures for most magnums that are in Sammy is on the order of 85 to 93,000, however the math works out, without doing it in my head. And I don't remember for certain. You start talking about that, and then you introduce a cartridge into Sammy. Back up. The proof load is set up for the gun manufacturers to design around. The gun has to be able to handle the proof load, an overpressure situation that the ammunition could cause in your gun system. That's the purpose of the proof load. So so thank you, Marlon. If you did do the same 35% overpressure on your 80,000 psi, you're at 108, 109,000 psi deal.
Instead of 87,000.
Yeah. So like I said, your normal magnums are in that around 90,000 range. And now if you bump up to if they're truly operating and introduce it at 80,000, then you're up over 100,000 psi for your proof load, which means your gun system has to be able to safely handle that load. That's quite a bit. I mean, there's a big difference between 90,000 psi and 110,000.
Yeah, that's where I'll jump in here, because I haven't been in this industry for a really long time. I've seen a lot of guns come apart. We've intentionally done it. It's been a regular thing for us, for my career with Remington and even with ADG, is test to failure or intentional abuse, whether it's bore obstruction, high pressure, anything that we would do. And there's a lot of guns in this show still that'll come apart sub 100.
Yep.
And gosh,
it's funny because the comments that the guys were making on the YouTube video was that, of course, yes, Greg just said they're tested to 35% over whatever the Sammy spec is, but it has to be 35% over. So if you raise it, you raise it. But they were basically making a point that all actions are tested to 80,000 psi. Well, essentially they are, but they're not rated to the 35% over that they should be, in case of any given situation that might pop up. You got your bullet jammed into the lands. Yep. You put too much powder in it, whatever the situation might be.
Yeah.
And if you're talking 105, 110,000 psi, I don't feel real great about chambering that in a Tikka.
Definitely not. I don't think it'll handle the length, but it shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
Question of the week, powered by ADG.
Where can I find your production schedule?
Our production schedule, we don't post our production schedule, mainly because it can be changed at any time. We have a very flexible system. And so if something happens with any particular cartridge, if it's not meeting our quality requirements, we might make changes on the fly. However, there are some of our dealers, Unknown Munitions in particular, they'll post quarterly schedule updates that we give our dealers. We usually give our dealers about quarterly updates. So they understand what's coming out and they can prepare and maybe update what they want to purchase when those cartridges run.
And you said you have doubt about that 80,000 or do.
Well, most magnums in Sammy are at 65,000 psi.
Yeah.
But most of your manufacturers are not loading their ammo to 65,000 psi. You have statistical sampling that you have to do, and you got variations in burn speed and powder speed and primers and everything. So nobody's you're not gonna buy ammo and test it, and every round's going to be 65,000 psi. That's your maximum average pressure. So you're going to have some shots that can be over that, but you're also going to have some shots that are be under that. But most ammo manufacturers are not going to load to 65,000 psi. It's like anything else in Sammy. They're going to back off of that. They're going to probably consider that 65,000 psi to be a maximum, and they're going to look at what their normal spread is in their what their load is giving them for pressure, so that they know that they're safely under that pressure.
Yep.
Right.
And components can be different too. For example, I mean, you guys as a brass manufacturer recommend to lower your load data when you're switching to our brass because your brass is stronger, meaning it can handle higher pressures. So don't just stick your same load in there because you might end up going a little bit faster than you expected.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So similarly to actions and anything else, I mean, they're just not following the same safety route, right? I think we only know of Seekins that came out that said they're revamping their actions in order to handle this new cartridge. But
Yeah, I would imagine that most current designs cannot handle the 100,000 psi plus.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some that can.
Yes.
The bats, bad actions definitely can take it.
Yeah. So, but there are, like ultra lightweights and things like that have been done, where they've scalloped everything, without really looking at structurally what it's doing to it. But they'll sell it. And I know those will frag, and certain materials that have been used in different. There was a major manufacturer. Again, I'm not going to disparage anybody, but there was a major manufacturer not too long ago that had investment cast receivers for their bolt action rifles. Those would have been bombs.
Definitely not.
Yeah, those would have been.
And that's kind of scary in the custom rifle world too, because we talked to the JGS Reamer boys here at the show, and of course, day one they had 100 ready before the launch. And then they've made another 100, and they're about to make another 100. But the point being is on the custom rifle side, like a production rifle that says that they're going to do a 7 backcountry like a Christensen or a Seekins, they will do the proper testing. And you'll only know that the action can handle it because it'll be chambered by them in 7 backcountry. On the custom side, you can have Tom, Dick, and Harry gunsmith go ahead and throw a 7 backcountry barrel on you on any action, not knowing whether or not that's going to blow up in your face.
Right, and that's the fear, right? Because people are going to do that. They're going to say, hey, I want that new thing.
I went out day one and told my entire team, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And,
again, I'm not going to sit here and disparage it too much. I like, if we can evolve technology, great. ADG makes brass, so we obviously, I got a dog in that fight.
Right.
But at the same time, I know kind of where this is coming from and, the development program as far as how it got down to this path. And we'll have to see what happens. It seems like a lot of marketing, right now. And unfortunately, because of this thing where a guy can go into his gunsmith with the wrong action and request this, it may end up in guns failing, potentially, and even people hurting. And that's another side of our business with is legal. So
you guys have a little bit of experience on the other side too.
Expert witness stuff. So when that happens, you can.
Well, it's a very interesting point you brought up, Jake, about, and I never thought about it, about barrel companies.
Mm-hmm.
And barrel companies, getting that barrel back, and they say this gun won't shoot.
Oh, yeah. So we were talking with Carbon 6 Gene over there, and I said, basically, Gene, if you do a pre-fit barrel in 7 backcountry and you send it to your guy and he screws it on his Remington 700 and he's going to call you and tell you that the barrel don't shoot, well, you have no choice. There's no other ammo to use. You have one ammo choice. So it's like 22 rimfire used to be before, tunable muzzle brakes and things like that would allow you to kind of adjust for a set ammo that you couldn't load yourself.
Yeah.
It's
I guess like the hard question to ADG brass is, do you think steel cases are the future?
Well, I mean, steel cases are the past and they're the present. I can't imagine them not being around in the future.
Right.
Is 80,000 PSI max average pressure the new future? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think until that it's right now there's hold up with the RCBS system for reloading it or even initially loading it. Obviously, our business model is guys that like to roll their own, build their own load and develop it for their rifle individually and things like that. And this is being marketed as a box of ammunition and all that, with maybe down the road some potential to reload it. Mm-hmm. So it's a different niche, if you will. And you guys are still slaying elks with brass case ammo, just that you've loaded your own and had good success, and I can neither confirm nor deny that maybe you're near those pressures at times, and but you still use it. So
I would say, if my opinion, which for what it matters, I think the hybrid case, if they wouldn't have locked it up with patents, would be more of the future than a full steel case in the near future.
Unless there's a new super alloy somebody discovers.
Maybe.
The right balance.
That Magna Cut for cases out there in the wind.
So to go back, so we talked about in the first podcast, the whole Sammy deal, that it's not Sammy approved, but there is a steel case that is Sammy approved called the 277 Safe Fury.
That is the
which is a hybrid.
Yeah,
yes.
And it is Sammy at 80,000 PSI, so it is possible. But it's about a 12-month process kind of at the long end, correct, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not doing anything unconventional, let's say I come out with the new ADG Magnum and we introduce it into Sammy, that's typically a year and a half process. Sammy typically meets twice a year. In the first meeting, it's introduced to the committee members for feedback, and then at the next meeting 6 months later, if there's no issues with it, then it's voted and approved, and at that point, it becomes the Sammy standard.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say that if I was working on a project for 5 years with as much power as Federal has, that it probably should have been Sammy approved by now.
If it followed normal protocols, that would indeed be the case. But like I said, this 80,000 PSI is unconventional for sure. A full steel case is somewhat unconventional on Sammy, but I think technically, I don't believe there's anything in Sammy anywhere that says a case has to be brass or steel or plastic or anything. It just has to be this dimension, and it shoots a bullet of this weight at this velocity from this barrel length, and it operates at this pressure.
Well, we could keep arguing this, and I feel like I'm putting Greg in the hot seat, but the felt recoil argument was probably the biggest outside of.
I fucking argued it too. Yeah.
It is that a viable argument? If you have similar 7 PRC, 7 backcountry, similar weights, similar bullet, 175 grain bullets, is the felt recoil going to be lighter in the 7 backcountry over the 7 PRC?
Well, again, you mentioned felt recoil, and I'm sure they're diligent in their marketing about referring to it as felt recoil.
They are very diligent.
Recoil simply a momentum thing, right? Momentum out that way has to equal the momentum back this way. So whatever momentum you're putting out that way, mass times velocity, is the same mass times velocity that you're pushing back against your shoulder. Where the felt recoil part of it comes in is mainly around the propellant weight and the amount of gases that propellant is producing. Once that bullet exits the muzzle, then obviously you're not pushing back anymore. The bullet's gone. But what's still coming out of the muzzle is all that gas that was behind the bullet. And the amount of that gas is dependent upon the size of the shell and the amount of propellant that was in that shell. Faster burning powders generally require less of it in a particular case to give you the same velocity as a slower burning powder in the same case. So if you put in a slow powder to get velocity X, it's going to be a higher charge weight than a fast powder to get that same velocity from the same system. That being said, I think that's where some of that is what's playing into the velocity, the felt recoil.
The felt recoil, part of it. And it is the bullet's mass and velocity that is the majority of the recoil that you're experiencing from the rifle. Like the amount of gas behind it is probably not proportional to the original.
Yeah, not like a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Definitely not a 1-to-1, but the gas velocity exiting your muzzle is higher quite a bit than the bullet velocity exiting your muzzle. And momentum is that mass times velocity. So, and if you're talking about energy, it's the velocity squared. So anytime that velocity gets that much higher, it does make a fairly significant difference. So even though there's not a lot of mass associated with that propellant gas, you do have a lot of velocity associated with it. You can think of it as the bullet has left the muzzle, that the gas is coming out of there is like a rocket motor, right? So that gas is pushing out, and that gas is pushing the gun back into your shoulder.
Yep.
Well said. I got one more question for both of you, Brent and Greg. In 2 years from now, will the 7 backcountry be considered a successful?
I don't know. That's tough.
I say no.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I really am not committed on that because
Politicians, goddamn politicians.
I mean,
that's true. He'll say no, but
Marlon said 100% no.
Thumbs down.
I do think that if they cannot secure truly any sort of the reloading aspect of it, if they can't get that dialed in within the next 6 to 8 months of this release, then no, in 2 years it'll be gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think. I think. Sorry to jump in here.
No. I would like to have all your opinions. So I'm pretty sure I can speak for Jake. We both think no.
I think the problem is if they end up successful on a bunch of patents on this thing, then for evolution of this cartridge, you're going to have the 4 guys that are working on it there. So unless you can establish competition in the market so that everybody at this SHOT Show is thinking about the cartridge and thinking about how do we load it, how do we develop it, because how do we make it usable for everybody, that's what's going to push that cartridge and the success of that cartridge. But if you lock it up and patent it all today so nobody can make the thing, nobody can make a copy, then the only evolution of that cartridge is going to be 4 guys there that think their stuff is the best stuff ever, and that's it.
Which pretty much summarizes the development of the 7 backcountry. I'm sure there were 4 nodes over there.
Well, and like there's also like already a patent or kind of a path for that. The 277 Fury is not mainstream because it's all locked up in patent. Yeah, so there is.
I mean, for any cartridge to be considered successful, in my opinion, it basically comes down to how many guns are chambered for that cartridge. You know, if you've got 10 million guns chambered in 300 Ultramag, and you've got 100 guns or 10,000 guns chambered in 375 Ultramag, then the 300 Ultramag is a success. 75 is not.
A great example of success would be 7PRC. Is the 7PRC the best 7mm cartridge on the planet? No, but having it out there and having so many guns and so many people chambering and so many people coming up with loads for it made it wildly the most popular cartridge case we sell. Is it the best 7mm? No. But it's definitely the most popular, and it's the one that everybody asks for.
But this new technology itself literally means that not everybody can get behind it. There is no load data. They say they use a proprietary powder. There are no reloading tools. Why come to market with the groundbreaking future of ammunition without everything else to back it up? And they're just, to me, they're setting it up for failure.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Brent said VHS versus beta.
Yeah.
You didn't hear him.
Yeah.
Good analog.
Interesting. Well, I think we beat that elephant to death.
we'll beat it a few more times.
Oh, yeah.
But I just want to get it. So there were so many fucking comments like, what makes you guys experts? And you guys haven't even shot it yet. And like, well, we've only loaded millions of rounds of ammo for people. I mean, we don't know anything about ammo, or ADG doesn't know anything about casings. So the more experts that we get on talking about, what they do for a living, the better the background is.
The consumer will tell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The consumer's undefeated, actually.
Yeah.
And like I said, my opinion. We miss anything? Anything else we want to hot off the presses?
No, I don't think so. I think.
What booth number are you guys?
75-313.
75-313. I don't know if it'll get out in time.
It certainly will not be
out.
out
Oh,
by the time they leave.
Okay.
We're in the Caesars Forum.
Well, next year you might be in the same spot, no?
Yeah, we should be pretty close to this
All right.
spot or this area.
Yeah.
So walk over to the Caesars Forum and go into the room on the left side.
Across the bridge.
What's funny about all this is traveling through all the places. I think that the Forum side is the best side. It's not super, super crowded. You can actually see the place. Like, you can't miss this booth if you walk by at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's well put together. Well done. Well done. And your vest, too. Goddamn
Thank
pretty
you.
boys.
They're cute. Very cute.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.